All right, this is the college rant. Yeah, that's right. For you Gen Zers out there, this is we're going to be talking about the enslavement that could be college. It's a big choice you're going to have to make at some point, and I thought maybe you should get the truth about college. In the reality of our year, 2025, college can be either one of the best choices you make or one of the worst and one of the most costliest things that will be chained to you for the rest of your life. So when I say college is one of the most important things you can do, it is a big decision that you should actually take time and spend a lot of time figuring out what you want to do and what college you want to go for. There's a bunch of majors out there and people are complaining. I see so many TikToks out there right now of people saying their college degree was absolutely worthless. Yeah, that's right. And they have spent tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on their college experience getting a degree that goes absolutely nowhere. That is the reality of college these days. Things have gone so crazy with the pricing of college that picking the wrong degree could be a complete and total, unmitigated disaster for you. So, if I had to do it all over, and I enjoyed my college experiences, if I had to do it all over again, right out of high school, I would not immediately go to college. That is mistake number one. So many people get trapped in that with the peer pressure. The entire model is designed to get you to go immediately out of high school, okay, into the college experience. You're 17 or 18, you're taking on a huge debt load, and you're basically having to pick something you're going to potentially study for the rest of your life or lead a career track. How are you to even know when you haven't even been in the real world at all or had any experience or even know what the actual job market is like? In a few short years, 4 years, the entire job market can turn on its head. It has happened so many times. But the main goal about college is getting that piece of paper, the bachelor's degree, whatever. Now, will that aid you in your career choices? It depends really what major you take. And the problem with being pressured and giving into the peer pressure timeline, all your friends are going. They're not necessarily going to the same college as you, okay? They all have been pushed in this direction. And maybe you should just pump the brakes a little bit about a decision that is going to be extremely costly financially. And furthermore, with student loans, guess what? They're not bankruptable, people. You cannot discharge a student loan with a bankruptcy. Yeah, that's right. Almost every other loan, every other form of debt that is non-collateralized can be discharged with a bankruptcy. You can accrue as much debt as you need, right? A massive amount, say you did, and then you want to declare a bankruptcy. You can go through the process of doing that, and after a few months or even a year, your debt should be entirely cleared. With a student loan, though, it doesn't work like that. No. You made the mistake of picking this major. You are now tied to those payments for the rest of your days. Now, I paid off my student loan. I paid it off early, okay? That was one thing I was like, yeah, let's just get this out of the way. But there are things that require college, especially if you have aspirations for higher sort of paying salary jobs, or don't disparage college, but a lot of people will. College is required as the entryway to even have the path for certain careers. I'm talking your specific licensed careers, mainly if we're talking sort of STEM engineering. If we're talking medical professional, and if we're talking legal professional, you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or even an engineer, you have to go through the gauntlet that is college and navigate your way through that into going into a finishing school, specifically with the legal and medical field, and then going through that process on its own. That's another set of school with its own testing requirements, and it leads you into a licensed professional career, which is a totally different thing than 90% of the degrees out there. Yes, that's right, your philosophy degree You might as well have just printed it on a piece of paper. There are so many useless degrees out there, and they're all being taught with the same purpose to get as, and don't get me wrong, you have to understand the entire purpose of college, university is not necessarily to educate you for the cheapest or reasonable rate of how much it should cost. It is actually a business in its own self, okay? There's an entire system in place that requires tuition and government funding to prop up these places to act as gatekeepers for your future employment prospects and your entire career. College was only a few $1,000s, okay? The entire experience. We're talking maybe $2,000, who knows, less for a year of college. That's how cheap things were way back when. Even in the 90s, it was fairly affordable. 2000s, we're talking extreme price hikes. And if you want to go to a prestigious college, you better be rich. And don't get me wrong, some of these YouTubers out here and in certain communities have gone to prestigious colleges, well-known colleges for art degrees in useless subjects, which have cost to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars in specific cities where the cost of living is exorbitantly high. They have managed to get in there, and we all know why. Rich parents, that's mainly the problem. But again, as I said, college is a business, an entire ecosystem designed to suck as much money from people as possible. It's why the prices of tuition keep going up, even outpacing inflation. It does not make sense when the book knowledge, okay, the actual book knowledge that's being taught that you are receiving as a payment hasn't really much changed from even 1950s to now. Yeah, sure, there's been modular increases, but it hasn't been exponential growth, okay? There's not drastic changes from Grey's Anatomy circa 1950 to 2025. What, are you telling me we grew another limb? Oh, so suddenly this organ just emerged that we didn't know about for the last 2,000 years. Right, okay. And that's why college costs this much more? Really? Okay. No, and why they're able to do that is because entirely student loan system. The money is already guaranteed by the student loan system. However you get your loan, that's what they're banking on. And because they can increase the prices, however, you can just take on whatever more debt and it doesn't matter. The money will still flow to the college, propping it up. But that's not to say college is useless. You can go, you can have a fun time. And in Canada, college is fairly cheap for domestic students. It's around like $5,000-ish a year. If I remember correctly, it's around a little over $5,000 a year, maybe more in some circumstances, but that's just for your general bachelor's sort of degree. For international students, though, you get hosed completely. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's not to say college is totally useless. You can actually garner a lot of knowledge from college. But the problem is that also when you get there and you're a fresh-faced 18-year-old, what's the first thing you're going to do? Listen, you don't have rules imposed on you by your house set from your family or even rules directly imposed by the school. And there is no one to track your progress except for you in college. Yeah, there's advisors and stuff, but they're not going to weigh in. They're not going to call your parents. They're not going to be like, oh, this person didn't show up to class. And you know what happens in first year? I'm going to give you the stats for real. And this should be part of your consideration if you're watching this video. The first year breakdown for college dropouts is around a fifth. Is around 20, almost 25%, between 15 to 20, and even as high sometimes as 25%. Do you know how crazy that is? If you go to college in first year, you'll see a bunch of people all around the residences and quad. It's always packed with people, and usually these are the first year students, right? They're always on campus all the time, and they all basically congregate around the residences. Well, you could basically take all of them, and if you see it on Frosh Week, the very first week of school, you'll see thousands and thousands of them. Put them all in a row, and just as a mental exercise, say it's like a couple thousand people. Take a fifth of them and say, guess what? You're not coming back, and you're going to leave. And it's really weird as you keep going through college, as the experience keeps going, and university, right? You will keep going through years, and you'll start noticing people start dropping out slowly over time, because it also functions as a filter. Every year filters out X number of students for every class and every major, and that happens all the time. So you're going to see people just drop out. A bunch of first-year people realize they took the wrong thing, weren't cut out for this experience. They might be homesick. Who knows? Anything. They could have onset depression from the drastic change in their life, and then they just leave. But when they leave, they're still beholden to the student loan debt that they've shackled themselves to. That's the reality of your first year, and it doesn't get much better from that. Another thing, if you're considering college, another aspect, if you will, is that people end up skipping class all the time. I don't know if it's a thing that happens everywhere, but everything I've researched about it and my own college experiences is when they don't put penalties in for people missing classes, right? Which should be a thing, okay? People will take advantage of that completely every single time. And what you usually see is the first 2-3 weeks, maybe the lecture hall's filled with people, and then a sudden drop off of only a handful sticking around throughout every lecture. And you end up at the point where, say, they only show up for key dates such as midterms, finals, or essays, any exam or any major assignment being handed in, that's when they show up. Or test review, okay, for the finals. So the entire mid-section of the year, the midsection of that course semester, right? People just don't show up. And that happens time and time again. And sometimes you end up being the person who doesn't show up, and you do go and you see, oh, there's only 6 people here. This is a class that's supposed to be for 50 people. And it happens every single class across the board. And I looked it up. It's a universal experience. People literally cheat themselves out and waste a bunch of money in college by not going to class. If you're going to college, please, 100%. And if you've already locked in on this, go to class. You'll still pick up the knowledge subconsciously. Parts of you will remember what is said in class, and you'll actually gain some practical knowledge, at least in that regard, just by going, okay? A lot of people don't, and it ends up biting them in the ass. Some people think they can not go and still do fine. There are a very few people who can make that happen. Not saying yours truly, but sometimes that happens, okay? But they really need to put penalties in place, because this is a rampant problem that has been in college since time immemorial. People just not going to class. It's a big problem, especially when you consider how much you're actually spending and where it leads up to. If you're skipping class all the time, there are really no penalties for. You're screwing yourself in the future and in the present. Just for what? For what reason? You didn't want to go? It's only 2 hours, dude, of your whole day. Yeah, no big deal. But again, half of this boils down to picking the right course. So what you really should do, and what I would do if I had to do it all over again, take a year or 2 off from high school, maybe go to work. Okay, definitely go to work first of all, and then figure out really what you should be pursuing. Or even you can even take longer, okay? Work in the workforce, get some money together, because then you're going to college, first of all, with a war chest, which makes you much better position-wise, because a lot of these people who aren't rich and go to college end up very poor very fast, and you don't get to experience as much as you can. If you go with a war chest, say $20,000 or whatever, you're actually basically set. Like, you can do a bunch of stuff. You don't have to worry as much. You can open yourself up to experiences. Now, a whole other part are financed by mom and dad, and extremely financed. I mean, people who get their credit cards right off the rip. $5,000 spending limit. That can be a problem in college, especially when that happens. But usually mom and dad are pretty rich in those cases. With those kids are an entirely different cast from the average sort of person going to college. So again, what the key is to pick your major right. You want to pick something that is foolproof, okay? It's something that is designed to get you ahead, something that will actually lead to a job. And then also, don't forget, community college and trade school, total different thing. You can go into that, and people always harp that the trades are the next biggest thing. I know people who ended up going to college for trade school with some of my best friends. Yeah, good luck getting the apprenticeship. Everyone is cooked. Gen Z, spoiler, I'm pulling the rug out from the trades thing. Guess what? Yeah, it's true. Even on the trades, trying to land the apprenticeship is half the battle. When you go to community college for that, for trade school, right, it is a crapshoot to try and get the apprenticeship. So many people I've talked to, aside from my best friends, right, outside of that group too, have had trouble even landing the apprenticeship, because guess what? Do the tradesmen really want to take on a new apprentice? Spoiler alert, not really. So you could spend a year or two or even more trying to land that apprenticeship gig, offering to work for free. And for some reason, the tradespeople don't want to prop it up, even though that's like the next sort of average ticket that anyone could take, right? That anyone could take to get in the trades, which is not going to be hampered by AI in the future. I'm just saying, trade colleges as well, community college and trade school, don't think you're getting off the hook for this. But regular college, like I said, you want to take that year off before you even go. Don't get peer pressured into going. Biggest mistake you will make in your life. Guaranteed it. And everyone is pushing you to do that. The entire basis of school system, from grade school through high school, is all directing you to make that choice. And it seems, even, at least when I was in high school, and I had a great high school run. Don't get me wrong. I had a perfect run almost. Everyone is pushing you to make that decision to go to college, right? And do it as soon as you finish high school, because your entire mindset is, I've been going with this grade to the next grade to the next grade. What's the grade after graduation? Well, you would think, oh, I'm just going to keep going in college for grade after grade after grade. It is not like that at all. It's a totally different beast. You should get that out of your head. There's also the prestige issue of sort of academic versus applied. If you're in Canada, that's what we had. There was definitely sort of a mental distinction that was pushed on us, that if you're taking university classes, you might be quote unquote smarter in high school, right? That really isn't the case at all, and you shouldn't be judging yourself according to that. But that's just the ecosystem that is fostered in high school. That you shouldn't, if you fail a class or you're not doing well in the class, you shouldn't drop down to a different level and then still get the class credit. No, you should really just take the hit and move on to something else. That's not the case. You should drop down to a different level and then finish that class out and actually get the knowledge, because it actually does count on your transcripts. But like I said, jumping the gun and going to college when you shouldn't, big mistake. There is no rush to go to college. Oh my God, not do it. You will regret it. You, not just you, everyone around you will regret it. No, I'm kidding. They won't. Diving into this is not something to be lightly considered, and everyone lightly considers it. You look on TikTok, there are thousands of people saying their college degree was worthless. You got your degree in humanities. Great. Did you even spend any time or inkling thinking about what the repercussions of that would be? No? Okay. Well, that's a problem, right? You got your degree in... You have a degree in theology. Congratulations. You can teach us all about religion, and that maybe necessarily isn't the best career path. So... that's what happens with a lot of people. They end up picking the wrong major, and so much peer pressure is forced on them to go and dive in. Not the right move, folks. Don't do it. Take some time. Think about what you were going to actually study, right? If it actually is something valuable, especially with the prices now. It's not like the prices were cheap like they were back in the boom days, right? In the boom days, college was very cheap. You could go, and essentially, with how cheap it was, you could keep going. Okay, like how much does it take to make $2,000 even if you're only making 10 cents a friggin' hour or whatever, however much they made. I don't even care. It doesn't matter. They bought a car and sold it. Okay, there's your tuition right there for the whole year. Thanks. You didn't like it? Well, that's great. You can do it again next year. It's not, oh, hey, every single year is going to cost $10,000 plus, right? It's not that at all. So it's a totally different time economically, educationally, in every aspect. So when I say we're all cooked, I mean we're all cooked. And I want Gen Z to appreciate that with college. If you can take anything from this video, it's pumping the brakes. You go to college, and I've gone to college. I went to university immediately out of high school. I went with a bunch of people from my city. We all ended up at the same university. You realize that there are people from your high school and other high schools from the same city who end up in college or university. You meet them, or in my case, I knew them, right? So I went with about 12 other people that I knew directly. Man, okay, straight up, about half of them were gone by first year, if not all of them. At the end of the day, there were maybe like 3 or 4 that I still remember seeing after in future years. No. The first year, it wiped almost all of them off the campus. That's just how crazy it was. Say 2 or 3, 4 maybe, not much more than that. Yeah, so diving in with a bunch of people, even tailoring your college experience to your friends, not necessarily the right choice or the best choice. And that's something you have to weigh or consider, especially with your career path. If you're thinking, oh, I want to do this, and my friend's doing this too, and I love this too, go for it. Perfect. If it's a stupid major, well, then you made a big mistake. So don't make that mistake. Think about it. That's the main important message that I wish to impart upon all of you watching. Think about it before you dive in. You don't want to be held up for $50,000 plus student loan debt that will be with you for the rest of your days and haunt you like a ghost. Of course, eventually, if you are sort of well off enough, you can finance that with a mortgage or whatever and roll all your debt into one thing. But good luck even getting a house. That's a whole other topic for a whole other day. And again, I won't disparage college. If you're on the STEM track, if you're on the legal medical track, all great choices. That's exactly what you need college for. If you're trying to go into IB, any finance stuff, yeah, you need college, university. You need it. But if you're going for fine art, okay, good luck. Even that has more apt skill and technical ability than say, oh, I went for a degree in sociology. Did you? I went for a degree in theology. You're going to teach us the Bible. Okay, cool. I went in for philosophy. Philosophy people are the coolest, though. I will give them that. There's other useless ones. I totally forget which. I'm going to look it up right now. Yeah, and you have like dance studies. You have women's studies. You have African studies. Again, none of these at all pan out. Well, I shouldn't say none of them. Okay, there are exceptions, of course. Especially around 2020, there were certain exceptions for a few of the ones I just mentioned. But as we said, a lot of them not good ideas to bet on and not good ideas to even sink time into, okay? Don't do it without thinking. I don't even know how to describe it. There are better opportunities out there. So think about it before you dive in, okay? Don't go right in the deep end. Because, hey, you can apply for those and they'll accept you because those ones are a scam. Straight up. Okay. You have a great rest of your day.